Today, I'm going to attempt to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Blue using only the water type. The rules are on screen, but they're also in the description. As you guys know, in an attempt to diversify content on the channel from just solo running, I'm working through Nuzlocking every Monotype in Generation 1 before we move on to Generation 2, 3, etc. But I do have some sprinkled in between. Just check out my Pokemon Crystal Nuzlocke using only Steel types. Our starter for today is a pretty obvious one, Squirtle. And Squirtle, as Kid Cudi would say, is going to be going solo dolo for at least the first gym. One quick thing I want to point out, because I know someone's going to ask, we're using a Gen 2 color palette for our Gen 1 game. Why? Well, because I like it, I feel like it, and I recorded this Nuzlocke back in early November, so there's nothing I can do about it now. I could use this time to cover what all of our possible encounters are, but I'll be honest, there are just too many to name, and we won't have access to all of them, which saddens me, because there are two in particular I was looking forward to using but didn't encounter them. But let's just jump ahead to the Pewter City gym battle. I'm just below Brock's level cap of 14, and I think you guys know how this one ends. 2 bubbles take out Geodude, and 2 bubbles take out Onyx. Let's move on. As I head towards Mount Moon in our next encounter, Squirtle reaches level 16 and evolves into Wartortle. And Wartortle is going to be key for defeating our first roadblock of the challenge, Lieutenant Surge. Before entering Mount Moon, I'm going to stop at the Pokemon Center and talk to a guy who thinks he's hustling a 10-year-old kid. But really, it's us doing the hustling as we purchase ourselves a Magikarp. Mount Moon has some useful items, such as the Water Gun TM, which I could teach to Gyarados once it evolves, should I choose to go that route instead of teaching it Bubble Beam. There's also the Mega Punch TM, which I teach to Wartortle right away, and the hardest choice of the run. Do we go with Lord Dome or Lord Helix? Both were key players in my Gen 1 Monotype Rock Nuzlocke. Go check that one out. But for today, I think Lord Helix is the play. Unfortunately, we won't see Ammonite until we get to Cinnabar. Shortly after arriving in Cerulean, I get the team close to Misty's level cap, and Magikarp evolves into the mighty Gyarados. We can find Misty at the local Lifetime Fitness in the huge swimming pool area. The water slides are unfortunately closed for maintenance. She leads Staryu as I lead Gyarados. 3 bites is enough to take down Staryu as it deals only 4 HP in damage to me, and against Starmie, we're going to be using Bide strats. I only get a 2-turn Bide, which with the first bite I used, brings Starmie into low red health, and 1 more bite finishes it, earning us the Cascade badge. Jumping straight into the battle against the rival, he leads Pidgeotto as I lead Gyarados. 2 bites take out the annoying bird thanks to a crit, and I don't get hit with a sand attack, which is lovely. For his next 2 Pokemon, I swap to Wartortle, who can just Mega Punch them down before swapping back into Gyarados against his ace Bulbasaur. Since its grass attacks are neutral against Gyarados, it's the best matchup I have, and while it uses both Leech Seed and Vine Whip, 2 bites overpower it and we can move on. The journey to Bill's house consists of a lot of switch training because I only have 2 Pokemon and I need to make sure they don't exceed Surge's level cap of 24. Thankfully, with Gyarados being in the slow level up group, that helps out a lot, but I still need to be careful because we won't be getting our next encounter until we reach Celadon City. I do make a mistake fighting 1 extra trainer, which isn't going to help with that, but really as long as Wartortle doesn't exceed the cap, we'll be fine, because our starter can learn the TM for Dig, which I get after defeating the Innocent Bystander Rocket and teach this move to our turtle right away. And let's jump ahead to the SSN. I'm going to grab the TM for Body Slam, which I forget to teach to Gyarados, before taking on the rival. But even without Body Slam, although it probably would have sped this battle up a lot, Bite with Gyarados' great attack stat is more than enough for him to handle, and Gyarados is still right below Surge's cap where it might be able to knock out 1, maybe 2 of his Pokemon, but I don't want to risk that. Instead, I'm going to head into Diglett's cave with Wartortle to do some stat experience training for speed, because Diglett gives a lot of it. Do I think it'll make a difference against Surge? Probably not. Am I hopeful? Yes. Yes, I am. Could I have just gone back through Diglett's Cave to routes 1 and 2 and train on Pidgeys for even more stat experience? Yes. And did I just realize that watching this back months later? Yes. Yes, I did. So without further ado, let's take on the G.I. Joe American hero, Lieutenant Surge. He leads Voltorb as I lead Wartortle. Surge uses an X-Speed turn 1, but I'm not faster than this thing anyway, but I'll take that over Sonic Boom as Dig one-shots. Pikachu's next, and it's faster, and uses Thunder Shock instead of Thunder Wave, which probably would be a wipe had it hit. While it does pathetic damage and Dig one-shots, a Thunderbolt from Raichu will end Wartortle. Once again, Surge uses a turn 1 X-Speed, as Dig leaves it on low yellow health. I didn't want to risk Mega Punch possibly missing, so I go for Dig again. Raichu goes for Thunder Shock, which Wartortle hangs on from with 17 HP remaining, and goes for Thunderbolt as I'm underground, and our turtle pulls it off, as Surge says, "Whoa, I lost to a water Pokemon. That's worse than losing to a baby Pokemon." It's alright, Surge. You'll get him next time. Maybe. We have to make our way through Rock Tunnel to Celadon City, and I just want to say it's great that Gyarados can learn Thunderbolt. The Slowpokes in Rock Tunnel stand no chance. Once I arrive in Celadon, I head straight for the back entrance to the Celadon Mansion, and climb to the roof where I can grab myself an Eevee. The department store sells water stones, and I can grab the Ice Beam TM while here as well, as Eevee evolves into a Vaporeon. Since Erika has the type advantage over my team, I decide to go through the Rocket Hideout first and take on Giovanni. And as you can see, this battle isn't hard. Water Gun one-shots the rock types as Thunderbolt two-shots Kangaskhan. I need to get around to doing a solo run with that thing, maybe later this month. I don't have to beat Erika right now to progress the story, but I should get her out of the way now instead of catching a new party to do it later. To prepare for this battle, I went ahead and taught Gyarados the Ice Beam TM. I also never used the Bubble Beam TM I got from Misty, so I went ahead and taught that to Vaporeon, just so it at least has a stab move for now. But let's take on the Grass-type specialist Erika. She leads Victory Bell as I lead Gyarados. Ice Beam can't quite one-shot the Flycatcher, but it just misses Sleep Powder, and this battle is mine now. I finish it off and have to two-shot Tangela, and two-shot Vileplume as well, who just goes for Petal Dance. Pokemon Tower rival time. Between Ice Beam and Thunderbolt on Gyarados, I have super effective damage against 3 of his 5 Pokemon, where Bite is enough to one-shot the Frail Fire-type Growlithe and the Frail Psychic-type Kadabra. There's nothing of relevance in Pokemon Tower. We can't get any new encounters, we don't struggle against the Ghastlies or Rocket Grunts at the top, and I'm just trying to get through this section as fast as possible so I can get the Poke-Flute from Mr. Fuji and head to Route 12 to get the Good Rod from the Fisherman. And I'm going to put this to use and head back to areas where we can get encounters. During this process, I catch myself a Goldeen. Also, I'm going to place the routes that these Pokemon were encountered at the bottom left of the screen. A Psyduck, I encounter a Krabby in the Safari Zone, but it unfortunately runs away, and a Poliwhirl. And I was glad to get this thing because Amnesia Poliwrath is something I don't get to use often. We have quite a few evolutions on the team as it begins to get built out. Goldeen evolves into a Seeking, Psyduck evolves into a Golduck, Wartortle evolves into Big Man Blastoise, and after reaching level 41 and learning Amnesia, I use a Water Stone on Poliwhirl to evolve it into Poliwrath. The level cap of the next 2 gym leaders is 43, but after I defeat Koga, I can head to Cinnabar and battle Blaine early, along with getting a few more encounters, and that's the route I'm going to take. While I could narrate this Koga battle, it's just me leaving my cursor on Dig, occasionally going for Bite, using Withdraw here and there for some badge boosts, and we win. Although Earthquake from Sylph would have made this battle go quicker in terms of turns in battle. Before I head towards Cinnabar, I tried my luck with the water behind the fishing guru's house. It was a whole lot of this, Goldeens, and Seekings. So as gym leader Matt would say, let's take that brisk swim to Cinnabar and get our next encounter along the way, a Tentacool. Once I arrive in Cinnabar, I can give this scientist the Helix fossil to revive, along with capturing a Ponyta as I go through the mansion for a trade. After getting my freshly revived Ammonite after obtaining the secret key, in the same room, I can trade this scientist the Ponyta we caught in the mansion for Sailor the Seal. What a cute and happy little guy. Sailor doesn't stay a seal for long though, as it evolves at level 34 into Dugong, a truly underrated Pokemon. I'm well under Blaine's level cap of 47, but having the type advantage, I should be fine. He leads Growlithe as I lead Vaporeon. I'm able to one-shot Blaine's first 3 Pokemon, only taking a stomp from Rapidash in the process before we move on to his ace Arcanine. It's faster and its takedown gets a massive critical hit, as Surf leaves Arcanine on low red health. I thought I would be fine here since I still have Quick Attack on my moveset for priority, but it doesn't do enough, as Blaine uses one of his super potions smartly. I take a risk leaving Vaporeon in, hoping Blaine will use another super potion or something like Ember or Roar. Arcanine chooses Takedown again, which Vaporeon survives on 1 HP remaining. My following Surf hits, taking out the Fire Doggo as we nearly had our first death of the run. Before heading to Silphco, I surf east to the Seafoam Islands, hoping for a Staryu or Slowpoke, but we get another Krabby. Since I failed to catch the one in the Safari Zone, I can redeem myself, and Kingler is an excellent Pokemon. Before we head to Silphco, we have a few evolutions from our boxed party members, with Tentacool evolving into a Tentacruel, and Krabby evolving into Kingler. Before we take on our rival Grass, I'm going to pick up the Earthquake TM, along with the Swords Dance TM. I'm not going to teach these moves just yet, because I'd rather save them for the league. I don't want to teach anything too early if I end up not using that Pokemon on the final team. Rival 5 is a fight that always seems to cause problems, but when your lead is a Gyarados, that quickly changes. Although his team now has 3 fully evolved Pokemon, I still have super effective damage against 3 of them. Thunderbolt is able to 2-shot Pidgeot. It then one-shots Gyarados, as Bite one-shots Growlithe. Bite then nearly one-shots Alakazam as it just goes for Recover, and then disabling Bite. But I can just use Thunderbolt to take it out, moving on to Venusaur, which 2 Ice Beams get the job done. After defeating the rival, I talk to the hostage old man and get myself Lapras, and this thing is going to be great later on. It has so much coverage. Against Giovanni, Poliwrath makes its debut in battle, and for any Poliwrath fans out there, this thing is an absolute monster. Set up Amnesia and Psychic Go Burr. Of course, before I can face Giovanni for the final time, I'll have to face Sabrina first. I'm not going to bother narrating this one. Gyarados is able to solo her frail psychic types, although I do get paralyzed by the Venomoth. I could have just swapped to a Pokemon like Blastoise to clean her up. Before we head into the Viridian Gym, we have another evolution, as Lord Helix evolves into his final form. And because it did so well against Giovanni the first time, I'm going to lead Poliwrath against him for a second time, setting up with Amnesia and Sweeping. I actually did a solo run of Poliwrath in like November of 2023, but never released the video and have since deleted the footage. It finished with a time of 3 hours and 10 minutes, which back then was a top 3 time for me, but I've redone a bunch of runs since that I'll address in a later video, and a time of 3 hours and 10 minutes these days would probably rank it in the lower middle, but that's another one I want to come back and redo, along with Starmie. We're going to jump straight into the Rival 6 battle. I forgot to swap my Pokemon around and didn't want to lead Poliwrath, so I swapped to Gyarados, and Gyarados is able to one-shot the first 3 Pokemon with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt before I swap back to Poliwrath on Growlithe. Not that Gyarados couldn't handle the rest of his team, but I just wanted to set up Amnesia and Sweep. Rolling into the Elite Four, this is the final team. It was tough to leave behind Tentacruel and Kingler, but the team we have, in my opinion, is really stacked. We have Poliwrath with Body Slam, Earthquake, Psychic, and Amnesia. Armed with the best badge boosting move in the game, he can easily be our MVP. Blastoise, our starter, with Hydro Pump, Withdraw, Dig, and Bite. No Surf Surf on Big Man Blastoise, it doesn't need it. Vaporeon, our evolution, with very balanced stats, aside from its special which is nearly 50 points higher than the rest, with Surf, Quick Attack, Acid Armor, and Hydro Pump. I thought this thing learned Aurora Beam, but that's exclusive to Yellow, and although it's not the best Ice-type move, the extra coverage on the learn set would have been nice. Gyarados, the heavy hitter on the squad with Hyper Beam, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump. Lapras, our Loch Ness Pokemon with Ice Beam, Body Slam, Sing, and Hydro Pump. And finally, Lord Helix with Surf, Blizzard, Withdraw, and Body Slam. No Swords Dance user on the final team, although I could have added a Pokemon like Tentacruel over Vaporeon, but it's been with us since Celadon and I decided to keep it for the final ride. This team is more than capable of getting through the league in my opinion, but there's only one way to find out. Lorelei is first. She leads Dugong and I lead Poliwrath. Because of her AI, she's only going to spam Rest because she sees it as a super effective move. This lets me set up Amnesia for free and absolutely wreck her team. Although Slowbro takes more than one hit to knock out along with Lapras, but I was never in any danger of losing this one. Bruno is next, and like with Lorelei, set up Amnesia and let Psychic go burr. I do have to switch to Earthquake on the Hitmonlee just because I forgot to use a PowerPoint restoring item after the battle with Lorelei. But again, what is Bruno gonna do to me? Use Submission? Pfft. Agatha is next, and I wanted to give a Pokemon other than Poliwrath some screen time, so I lead Blastoise against her first Gengar, and things go south quickly. Gengar puts my turtle to sleep and tags me with 3 Nightshades before I wake up and dig lands to take it out. Because I only have 11 HP left, I swap to, you guessed it, Poliwrath on Golbat, who confuses my tadpole right away. Golbat also has Haze to cancel out my boost from Amnesia, so I do need to play a bit carefully. I get through confusion to set up once as Golbat goes for Supersonic, missing because I'm already confused. Poliwrath snaps out of confusion and sets up a second as it reconfuses me with Confuse Ray. God, that's annoying. I hit myself the next turn as Golbat uses Supersonic, which misses for obvious reasons, before Poliwrath snaps out of it and rips a Psychic that shreds the bat. Psychic then shreds Haunter and Arbok, and while her final Gengar is faster, Nightshade isn't going to save it from a +4 Psychic. Lance is the final member of the Elite Four. Gyarados has Ice Beam, Gyarados has Thunderbolt, Gyarados has no problem soloing Lance's team. I can't wait to start these Nuzlockes in Fire Red and Leaf Green where the Kanto teams are much improved. Finally, the Pokemon Champion. He leads Pidgeot as I lead Gyarados. Thunderbolt doesn't one-shot the bird, but it does cause paralysis and it just goes for Sky Attack anyway, giving us a free knockout. Alakazam is next and rips a Psychic that crits, dealing massive damage as Hyper Beam misses. I don't want to lose Gyarados and I wasn't sure what to swap to, so I chose Lapras as Alakazam again rips a Psychic that crits and gets a special drop on top of it. I can't keep swapping around and I'm going to have to attack this thing eventually, so I go for Body Slam. Alakazam of course outspeeds and goes for Reflect, causing Body Slam to deal what looks like a quarter. It then goes for Psychic the next turn, critting for the 3rd time in a row, but the crit didn't matter and we have our first death of the run. Making its debut in battle, it's Lord Helix. I decide to set up Withdraw to try and outspeed and get some attack boost, as Alakazam uses Reflect again. It hits me with a Psychic, which doesn't crit as I go for a second Withdraw, and now I need to start attacking this thing. It hits me with another Psychic as Body Slam brings it below half, then firing off a Psybeam bringing me to red health and confusing me, but Amistar gets through the confusion to bring Alakazam to red health. But unfortunately, this is Lord Helix's last turn in battle, as Alakazam goes for Psybeam to claim another one of my Pokemon. I send in Vaporeon next. Alakazam doesn't go for Recover, instead throwing, going for Reflect as Surf takes it out. Rhydon comes in next, and while I could have left Vaporeon in to set up with Acid Armor, I swapped to the MVP Big Buff Poliwrath. It clicks its Red Ruby Slippers in the form of Amnesia 3 times and sweeps. Or so I thought. While I easily take out Rhydon, Gyarados hangs on from a Psychic and fires off a Hyper Beam that crits, because of course it does, bringing Poliwrath to 29 HP. It feels like everything is falling apart in this champion battle. I knock out Gyarados and move on to Arcanine, which is one-shot by Psychic. But then I level up. That means I lose all of my badge boosts, although my special is still at +6. We should still outspeed Venusaur, which we do, and we don't get a Gen 1 miss or an unlucky crit, one-shotting the Grass-type starter, winning us the run. That was a fun run and a quick one at that. For any fans of the water type out there, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I think I'm going to talk about another Nuzlocke that I did, because this video isn't very long, so if you're a fan of fire types, well, I'm sorry, but they just don't perform well in a hardcore Nuzlocke of Generation 1. And there are a few things to talk about in a fire type Nuzlocke, but not enough to make it a long video. First off, shoutouts to Smash Math for helping me route the optimal stat experience for our starter Charmander, with help from the RBY XP router created by Autotonsorialist. Second, I know what a lot of you are thinking, this run is going to die at Misty, and to just spoil things, you're correct, but it is possible to get by her. Chaotic Meatball was able to in his Pokemon Yellow Nuzlocke using only the fire types. Check out that video. I will be touching on the absurd luck needed to get by her, but for now, since the Nuzlocke doesn't begin until you get Pokeballs, we're going to lose to the rival on purpose, and this is so we can maximize our stat experience as much as possible. After losing to the rival, you're going to grind on level 2 Rattatas until you reach level 9 and learn Ember. And if you're wondering how many Rattata you have to face, 18 of them. Afterwards, you're going to face the one mandatory bug catcher in Viridian Forest, and then you're going to grind on Rattata once again, 29 of them, until you reach level 12. And once we reach level 12, we're going to take on Brock. Could you grind to 13 for a damage rounding threshold to make this easier? You could, but did I want to do that? No, because I knew level 12 was possible. And as you can see by the battle in the background, I'm still in green health when I win this one. Now, the Mart buy here. I feel like if you were to try and do this legitimately, this is how I would do my Mart buy. Buy your Pokeballs, your potions, but the key is the 3 escape ropes, which I'll touch on once we reach the end of Mount Moon. After your Mart buy, you're going to progress through Route 3 like normal, fighting the Bug Catcher, Youngster, Lass, and the final Bug Catcher before Charmander evolves into Charmeleon. In Mount Moon, the only item I grab is Mega Punch. I fight this mandatory rocket, which in yellow, it would be Jesse and James, and of course the Fossil Super Nerd. But once you defeat him and claim your Fossil, you're going to want to escape rope out of Mount Moon, so you can backtrack to Route 1 and feast on more level 2 Rattatas. How many exactly? 140 of them. And after beating the junior trainer in Misty's gym, you'll be right at her level cap of 21. Now, if you're a person that inches up to the brink of 22 and you allow that in your Nuzlockes, cool. That might increase your chance of winning by a little bit, but for a person like me who doesn't like to do that, and frankly, in a way, I think it's against the spirit of the run. But for Misty, ideally you want to crit the Staryu to one-shot it. If you don't, you want an X-Defend so you can two-shot it. If it hits you with Water Gun, it's more than likely a dead run. Then for Starmie, you need a turn 1 X-Defend, and you have to use Bide. And then we need a 2-turn Bide with Water Gun and Water Gun, or Bubble Beam that doesn't crit and a Gen 1 miss. Now, I don't know what the chances of all that lining up are, but I gave Misty a good 20-25 attempts, and I won none of them. I'm just going to show you a montage of losses in the background. But this is mainly why I didn't want to make the Fire Nuzlocke a standalone video. It would have been like a 10-minute video where I talk about damage ranges and other shit, which if you're wondering about damage ranges, here you go. Stat experience, here you go. But as far as I'm concerned, I gave the Fire Nuzlocke a try and failed. And hey, if you guys want to see the hypothetical, well, what if you got the good luck on Misty to get by her? Then sure, I can make a video like that, but that's for another time. That's all for this one. Special shout out to my channel members, and I'll catch y'all in my next one. Take care, everybody.